Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Power Within podcast. I'm your host, Laurie. Today, I'm so excited and blessed to be able to bring you my interview with country singer Donny Mac. He has a beautiful album out, A Journey Through the Story, and it really is a beautiful journey to listen to. I really enjoyed getting to have him on and listening to him talk fondly about family stories and his music and that love of the music that he has. I really hope that you guys enjoy this interview. I hope that you love listening to Donny talk about his passion for his music and the creative process. I love hearing him talk about his faith and his journey through that. So I really hope you guys do enjoy this. And at the end, I did ask Donny to play one of my favorite songs from his album, and he was so good to do that. So I hope you guys do enjoy this. So without further ado, here we go.
Whoa, I'm leaving.
Hi, Don. Thank you so much for being on the show today. I'm really happy to have you on.
Oh, happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
No problem. So I know that you just had a new album come out recently, which is A Journey Through the Story, and you have a lot of great music on there. Can
Thanks.
you share a little bit how music has impacted your life and brought you to the point of creating an album of your own?
So I'm laughing. I'm like, she starts with like a huge question. Wow. Okay, which part do you want me to start with? Because you just asked like a three-step.
You
Like
can
you don't
start
even
wherever
know.
you want.
Okay, so I'm gonna backstory. If I talk too much, just cut me off. I love telling stories. So I was not even remotely interested in being a musician, like not even close. I still haven't grown up, let's be honest. As I got older, when I was younger, all I wanted to do was be a professional athlete. So I did martial arts, I did wrestling, I did track and field, I did all sorts of stuff. And it wasn't until, wow, it's such a long story. Okay, so then I got left for dead in a car accident just before I turned 19, and then had to relearn how to walk. I was paralyzed from the waist down, all that stuff. In that process, my younger brother, Dave, he started teaching himself how to play guitar. And one day, I'll tell you, in complete transparency, made fun of him so much. It's so embarrassing. He still laughs about it today. He's like, "Oh yeah, so how's that going with the music thing?" I'm like, Anyway, so he started teaching himself how to play guitar, and I'm like, "Oh, musicians, what a waste of time! You're never gonna do anything with that." And then one day he came home from school and he was playing Brown Eyed Girl. I'll never forget, because I was just relearning how to walk. I was laying on my mom's couch, mom and dad's couch. He comes up the stairs. I'm like, wait, that's a good. And then I'm like, nope, I'm still gonna make fun of him. That's sort of different. But then when he went to school, my mom would go down the stairs and bring up the guitar for me. And then I taught myself how to play guitar just sitting there. Anyway, wow, this is such a long story. I apologize.
No
But
apologies.
as I was playing the guitar, it became a therapy for me, like a way to express. So my mom will love to tell you this story, but I was not a nice kid, straight up. I was the mean kid. I had a chip on top of the chip on top of the block on my shoulders. And I just wasn't, I didn't share personal feelings, stories, anything. I just really, nothing personal got out. But the music, for some reason, it gave me an out. I was writing songs, and I just, after a while, it was like, wait a minute, this is how I feel. And I'm like, oh, I don't like that being out there like that. Anyway, long story short, that's kind of like that. And my mom is from England. She moved from England to the house next door to my dad. They met, fell in love, and they moved into my grandma's basement suite. And first three of us were born there, but huge musical family. Like not like I don't care. Aunts and uncles, we weren't talented. Let's just be honest. We just loved music. Like everybody was singing all the time, not well, but just singing. We just loved to sing. And my dad used to have this game when we were kids, and I don't even know where it came from, but it would be like, if someone was saying, and it just started, we wouldn't be like, okay, let's play this game. My dad would just, someone would say like, so, man, you guys gotta go. Wake me up before you go. Don't leave me. And my mom would be like, stop. And we'd all go, in the name of love. And this would just go. Like, this is just how my dad was and my mom. And just that musicality was just kind of instilled in my whole family. So I don't know where I totally rabbit trailed. I apologize. But yeah,
I love
music's
this.
always been in my life. But the car accident was a huge step. It was a really huge step. So I was going to keep this as a secret, but I feel like I'm supposed to tell you this. So me and my younger brother, we were hip hop artists. We used to have, you remember MC Hammer? Do you remember the Hammer pants?
Yes.
We had full outfits, like full outfits, jacket, shirt, chains, pants, and we used to compete. It's a true story. I know. I have a video that I cannot wait to share. I just want, I kind of want to be, I want to get my supporters group a bit bigger, and then I'm going to go, by the way, dude, here you go.
I was going to ask you,
video for a while.
Yeah, I was going to say, do you have photos of this? This would be incredible to share.
This has been brought to my mind because a good friend of mine, so it's me, my brother, and our friend Ben. So his wife just called me the other day. We've known each other since, oh my good Lord, since we were 11 or 12. Anyway, she calls me. She's like, hey, her text is literally, or she didn't call, she texted. Her text literally said, out of nowhere, I haven't talked to her in months. She's like, what was that song you doo-doo heads lip synced for in that dance competition? That's the text message I got. And I knew exactly what she was talking about. I'm like, oh, you mean Cult of Snap? She's like, yeah, that one. I'm like, yeah, you're welcome. Here's a picture. She's like, oh, this is perfect. To show my husband. I don't know what she's got. Hopefully she doesn't put it live anywhere, but whatever. It's life. It's funny. So I'm wearing black Hammer pants, a white mock neck. Do you remember the half turtlenecks?
Yes.
And white, so black, white, and black suspenders. And my brother's wearing white Hammer pants, black mock neck, and white suspenders. Yeah,
that's amazing. That's
know,
amazing.
especially because I don't know. I love life's a funny thing. Like, it's all the stuff people are like, oh, country. He's very country. He's bad. I'm like, but I like Boyz II Men and Mariah Carey, and kind of was grown up on grown up again, I say that loosely, loved Run DMC, Schoolie D, like Cool Mo D, all the DDDs, BBD, and all that stuff. That was the stuff I used to do.
That's so funny because you I can't remember if it was on the Time Has Come podcast or Trisha's, because you were talking about you just said how you love like the, that type of music there, and then you were like, I'm rock and roll, and now now you're country. So has it just been kind of, do you just love every kind of music, or is there phases you've been through?
That's a really good question. I've never thought of it as phase, because I tend to be opposed to phases. As soon as I feel myself in some sort of phase, I'm like, no, I'm going to expand and see what else. But I've been in a very, like, my world of music has been very interesting for my age group. Like, so when I was younger, I loved Bing Crosby, Frank Sinatra, Dean Martin, and I'm like, all the stuff my grandma loved. Like, I loved that stuff. And then when I was in my 12 and all through my teens, like, I'll tell you right now, like, while everybody else was listening to the new rock band, what were they called, Guns N' Roses, I was listening to John Lennon Mind Games or Roy Orbison, or like the Stand By Me soundtrack, which I think is phenomenal. It still stands up. So it's like, I've always been a little bit behind, but I don't know. I just, good music. I just like good music.
Yeah, I never used to love like country music, and as I've gotten older, I love it. And this morning I was going to get a coffee, and I was blasting your music in the car, and I'm, dancing around, and I'm like, I love it because you have it's not just full on country though. Like, it's really, you have like those beautiful, relaxing, like, last week I was going through a really rough time, and the Teach Me to Love song Oh, that is so beautiful. And
You
I
thank
love it.
actually that girl that I was telling you about that asked for the picture. You can thank her daughter. I was not going to be on. It was hidden, gone, and then she stood out. Anyway, sorry, carry on. I just
It is, it's such a beautiful song, and it's very powerful. It's
oh,
very, very powerful. And I know that you had posted about the prayer walks that you're going to do, and you had used that song. And so is that kind of like the theme song for the prayer walks?
oh, I don't know. I don't know. Actually, I literally was at the gym this morning going, should I have a theme song? Like, because Graham's got this beautiful music to his stuff. And I'm like, don't want to do that. And I'm like, okay, where would I get the music? And I'm like, wait, I have songs. I can use mine. And then I'm like, is that arrogant? I don't want to do that. Like, it's not
No.
like I don't want to know. I don't want especially the prayer walks. It's not about me. It's not about Donny Mac. It's not about my music. I really want it to point to Jesus. I don't want people to be like, oh, I love his music, so I'm going to watch where he's walking. For me, it's like, I want to, just because so many people asked what I'm doing, I'm like, well, I'm just going to tell you what I'm doing. And I'll be honest, most of the time I turn the camera off. I'm like, dude, nope. And then I'm like, maybe this would be, it's all actually in the video. I'm like, I was trying to edit it last night. I'm like, this is insane. Like, all I do is talk. Like, I need to stop talking. Like, but you'll see it when it comes out. It's we'll see. I don't know God's plan. I have no idea where it's going to end up. I apologize. I'm rabbit trailing it again.
No, 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 it's great.
But I
I
don't
love
know
hearing
what
it.
the theme song's going to be. I really don't. I have no idea. It's in God's hands.
Well, I think you should use one of yours because you have some beautiful music, and I think that you have so much that would go well with that. And on the prayer walks, I wanted to ask you about that because you talked about, you have your gym and physical exercise, and then you were like, oh, I want to have like spiritual exercise. Now, I'm huge on nature and I love being outdoors. It's where I find I can connect and figure out all my issues or anything that I'm going through in life. So does the nature aspect help you connect more with those feelings of faith and talking to God, or is it just you feel like you're more yourself outdoors versus sitting indoors and doing them?
Well, that's a good question. Uh, I feel like, and this is sorry, this comes up often when I meet new people. Um, I am exactly the same no matter where I am. It's like here, this is, if you were here and we've been known each other for 25 years, this is exactly how I would talk. Like, there's no difference. So I don't really change from friend group to friend group. I may I've gotten in trouble for this a few times. So I was gonna say I may change what I talk about if there's kids around, but I'm like, yeah, I've been in trouble a few times for that. So maybe that's not true either. But for me, the nature, it removes me from everything I see every day. And for me, it also shows me like, look what God has created. Why wouldn't I want to be with him? Like, why would I want to be like, I'm looking around this house, and don't get me wrong, it's nice. It's nice to have a house, but I'm like, drywall made by man, TV made by man, video game console made by man, toys. So I'm living I'm living with my buddy right now. He's a huge toy collector. Like, I literally look at Transformers, what is that, He-Man, GI Joes, Hot Wheels, they're everywhere. It's awesome. But I just see stuff, and I'm like, I'm always reminded that of the scripture that says, do not put your value in things of this world where moth and rust will devour it. It's like, well, I don't want to do that. I want to, and actually I don't even take pictures that much anymore, to be honest. Like, I used to be like the guy in the group that took pictures of everyone and everything all the time. But now I'm like, no, I think this moment should be just for me. Like, if I can't remember it, maybe I'm not supposed to.
Mhm.
So anyway, sorry.
It's nice that you do that though, because a lot, like, especially in the world today, everything is like, oh, I gotta take photos and I gotta post here and I gotta put on social media. And I think that being present in the moment is lost a lot on people. And I try to, even when I go outside and I go in nature, like, I'll still take photographs because sometimes I just look at it and I'm like, I just want to remember this. Just like,
Yeah.
it's so beautiful. But then
But
I'm like,
it doesn't reflect it.
no, it doesn't,
You're
never.
missing the sound, the smell, the temperature, the vibrance of the contrast of colors and depth of field. It's like,
Yes.
not worth it. It's a cheap imitation for me.
Yes.
I'm just speaking for me. Sorry. Like, I'm just like, no, this is not worth it. The
Yeah.
pictures. It's like, I look at a picture. I'm like, no, it's not even remotely what it was like. Take me there. If you want to show me the place, take me. Let's go. Like, come on.
Yes.
Then now we are in relation now we're like, as friends or brother or sister or whatever it is. It's like, now you're taking me somewhere, and there's an experience, there's a memory, there's a connection to a person and the place, not just, oh, that's nice, I wish I went there.
Yeah. Yeah.
I just, his pictures are almost depressing to some degree. I'm like, my niece, she's literally traveling the world right now, and she's, every time I see her post, I get sad. I'm like, that's amazing, I'm so happy for her. But I'm like, well, I want to go there, I want to eat that, this sucks. I'm not looking at your
Yeah.
picture anymore.
Yeah, I'm the same way, because I'm like, oh, I'm itching to travel, and like I can't, right? You know, I can't go into Canada or do any of that stuff right at the moment. So I'm like,
We're trying to get out.
I want to explore some of the beauty in there, though. There's some, Canada has some incredible beauty to it. So yeah. Now you did talk about, and you touched on it a little bit at the beginning of the conversation, that you were like not a nice person. And you called yourself a bully, as well on, I think it was on Trisha's live. And I want to challenge that a little bit. And I want to ask you about that, because you, I knew who you were from a long time ago. I know a lot of people have discovered from the podcast that you were on of Grams, but you used to do the Cruise with a Cause events with
Graham
Graham.
and I put that together.
Yep. So to be able to do something like that, especially for charity, there has to be a part of a person that is good for that. So when you say I wasn't a good person, like, can you explain that? Because it seems like you were a good person to some degree.
Sure. Well, let me ask you a question. When did Cruise with the Cause start?
That was I think that was what, 9 years ago.
2013, 2012.
Yes.
And when did I come to Christ?
Recently.
11. So I was already a believer by that point. So,
okay. I didn't know it was then.
Yeah, it was after.
Okay, because I thought when you
that
talk
I
about
wouldn't
recently,
have done something like that, but for me, that motivation came from, I just want to help people. I want to give back. Like, this is what God's given me. I have all these friends that are celebrities, if you will, both musically and film. And I just kind of got into the film world. And then me and Graham became really good friends, and he's got such a great heart. It's just like, we were both like, oh, we got these actually, I got into motorcycling because of him. I forgot about that, because he was on the show, and he's like, oh, I get to ride a motorcycle now. I'm like, oh, that's awesome. He's like, oh, this is so fun. And I'm like, well, I want to have fun. So I went out and got my license. I literally, I bought my first bike by selling my guitar collection. And I bought my bike. I was like, oh, there goes all my guitars. But I wasn't doing music anymore at that time. I'd quit. So I was like, oh, well, let's sell all the guitars and buy a motorcycle. That sounds fun. And then did the thing. But yeah, I don't want to me, it's a serious topic, because it's a serious, bullying is not, it's not cool. Like, I'll straight up, like, and I know that I believe you're coming from an angle of, well, you're still a nice guy. When I say I bullied, like, picture everything you can think of as a bully. And I did, like, I stole lunch monies, I stole lunches, I had people pay me for protection in elementary school. We're talking, like, it's insane. Like, I was not a nice kid. Sure, like anyone, there was a nice side of me, but I just could not find a way to connect with people for some reason. Like, when they would say something that they were doing, I'd be like, well, that doesn't make any sense. Like, why would you do that? And then instead of talking it out, I would just hit people. It was just, I'm laughing because it's embarrassing, but it's like, it came from a place of, I didn't know how to connect. Like, I see everybody else connecting, and I feel like I want to be in that. But as soon as I got in that, I was uncomfortable. and I didn't know what to do. And then if they made fun of me or if they were being funny or whatever it was, I just lashed out. It was like, I mean, you can feel like you should be interviewing my mom. Like she would tell you, like I was in the principal's office every week. And I did not cool things, very not cool things, which my family really likes to laugh about now.
So do you think that you were that way because I know you said it was uncomfortable when you started to connect with yourself, and I want to ask
Well,
about
it was
that
more
though.
connecting with others that made me uncomfortable.
Okay, so what about connecting with yourself? Because like, do you find that you would pick on people who maybe triggered something in you versus
Ooh.
um versus it being something that maybe you were lacking in yourself?
I would, if I'm being completely honest, no one's asked me that before. I would say probably a bit of both. I attended, let's be real. I still like a challenge. I love a challenge, not in the same way anymore. But like, so for me, one of the things I used to do is because so we moved around a lot. From kindergarten to grade 8, I went to 11 different schools. Um, and what I would do is I would go find out who the biggest, toughest guy was. And I just kicked the crap out of him on the first day. Just set the standard. Like, all right, now you know who I am. We can do our thing. Don't even mess with me. Because I didn't like necessarily picking on the person that was deemed weaker. It was more the big person like that. Oddly enough, the person that reminded me of me. It's like, oh, the arrogant person that thought they were tougher than everybody else. I would go to that person, which I'm surprised I didn't get my butt kicked so many times because there's a lot of big guys I took on. But even in that, like I can remember in elementary, I can't believe I can remember this, but I remember like grade 2, there was a poor kid, like he was the nicest kid, David Bogner, I think his name was. And man, I used to pick on him so much and I feel really bad because he really wanted to be my friend. And I'm like, I look back now, I'm like, man, that kid just wanted to be a friend. And I was just like bully guy. I couldn't get out of that skin sort of thing. But yeah, I don't know. It's sad to think about, but it's true. I'm not gonna pretend I wasn't that person.
Now, you're really good about remembering names. Do you ever try to reach out to any of those people and say, "Hey, sorry, I was a
Yeah,
jerk"?
absolutely. When I came to faith in Jesus Christ, absolutely. I literally spent a whole year reaching out to anyone that I could remember I hurt, that I could actually get in touch with and apologize, ask for forgiveness. And it was actually quite a beautiful year. I have a friend, she's going through it right now. And I'm like, this is amazing. She's like, this is almost addictive. I'm like, I know, it's crazy. Like, just, it's like, you don't realize the weight you're carrying by not asking for forgiveness. It's like, it was such a freeing year for me. It was hard. Don't get me wrong. Not let me rephrase that. It was not hard. It was challenging on my ego and my pride, which can feel like it's hard, but it's not hard. It's just embarrassing. And you have to own what you did in order to ask for forgiveness. And that I believe, call that hard, but I don't think it's hard. I think it's just, you got to let it go. You got to actually own it and go, I was a jerk. This is how, this is why. If you have any questions, I'm willing to answer those, but I'm asking you to forgive me. That's it. Like, you don't need to be my friend. You don't have to hang out with me. I just want you to know I am so sorry for any hurt I have done. My guitars are falling over. but that is, oh, it's so freeing. And I recommend that to everybody watching. Like, just go do it. It's
Yeah.
amazing.
Now, you also said I don't mind being judged, but not condemned, because judging comes from a place where people
Yeah, you're
love you.
discerning. Yeah,
Yeah.
if you don't judge, how do you know when to walk across the street? You have to judge the traffic. You have to judge the light. You have to, like, judging. There's nothing wrong with judging. It's condemning that's bad. Like, who has the right to condemn? I don't. Good Lord.
Yeah, but do you agree though that there can be sometimes a fine line between that? Because especially like where you were saying, okay, I'm gonna cross the street and that's, I gotta judge, am I gonna get hit by a car, or am I gonna, but when it comes to other people judging though,
Right.
sometimes there's that fine line where they are judging and condemning at the same time. And can you pick that out versus someone being like, you know, hey, that I noticed that you were doing this, and maybe you should think of something different in a loving perspective. And do you take the perspective of people judging based on your relationship with the person?
Wow, there's a lot to unpack in there. I'll just put it like this, and if I don't answer the question, just hit me again. If someone does not want to be around another person who's loud, obnoxious, and teases a lot, they better judge to not hang out with me, because that is me. And if it's something that you're shy and you want to try and break out, I might be the right guy to hang out with. But if it's something you're like, it makes me uncomfortable to be around that, judge me and go, from what I've seen of Donnie, I don't want to be around that. Please judge that. Please do it. Like, I'm not going to be hurt. Like, I know how loud and obnoxious I can be. I go to my family gatherings. We just, like, my family has this amazing ability and frustrating ability to talk all at the same time. And we all get it. We all know exactly, but it's like, blah, 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 blah. Oh yeah, totally. Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. And we all can answer each other. It's crazy. I don't know how we do it. But some people can get overwhelmed and triggered. Some like psychological issues can happen in that situation. So I'm like, man, you need to judge that situation. You need to know I am not in a healthy place if I'm in that area. And then either avoid it or come to a person like me and go, look, I want to hang out with you, and I'm trying to get over this, or trying to be better in this way. Is there a way we can hang out and you can just tone it down? Because I've had some friends do that, and I'm like, yes, I can, absolutely. So in that scenario, for me, yeah, I can judge their position and go, you know what, I can tone that down, because it's not always, I know it's not healthy all the time. It's just this energy in me that has to come out sometimes. So
that actually was a great answer. And so you talked a couple times about how your family dynamic is very important. And so do you think that has that played a part in you changing too? Like, have they come to you and said, hey, you're kind of a dink or whatever, and has that helped you change to become the person you are today? Or do they just accept you for who you are?
My family is very accepting, straight up. So me and my sister are the only ones that believe in Jesus Christ, right? And my brother-in-law, her husband. But sorry, my family's always called me that. Like, we always call each other that. Like, you're being a total jerk right now. I know. That's the response. It's like, all right, carry on. It's like I come from a big family. My mom's one of 9. My dad's one of 5. I'm one of 5. I have 11 nieces and nephews, 7 great nieces and great nephews. Like, family gatherings are never small. I mean, they're smaller now than they've ever been, but small for us is like, okay, I was hanging out on Mother's Day. It was me, Dave, Derek, Tia, Morris. It was 10 of us, 9 of us. Like, but our Christmas dinners before Dad died, it was like 30, 40. Like, and that was just dinner. So it's like, it's always loud and obnoxious at our houses. It's crazy time.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Now you said that you used to have a t-shirt that said Jesus is dead, get over it. And you used to invite people into your home so that you could rip them apart.
Yeah. Well, if they knock on the door,
if they knocked on the door. Yep. So I have a question. Do you ever knock on anyone's door now No.
No, it's a funny thing. And it's probably from my past. Like, I believe the Bible even says that we cannot convert anybody. The Bible says to be educated about your faith so that you can give a reasonable explanation for your faith. It doesn't say go knock on doors and convert people. Now, I take that as a literal, and some people have a gift of evangelism. I can't say that I have that. I've always been like, you know what? If you want to know, you can ask. And I'm happy to share, but I will not cram anything down your throat. Not on purpose anyway. Like my opinion, I'm very opinionated, so that might come out, but
Well, you've been very good about that because, you know, I found sometimes that, uh, growing up, I went to church, I did all that stuff. And then as I got older, I'm like, no, no, like it was a lot of pushing.
mm,
And as I've gotten a little bit older, I'm like, okay, well, yeah, I believe in God. I may not go to church and things like that, but I tend to look for people that will like share, but not in a forceful way.
yeah,
And you do that a lot with I love that you do them, your Instagram lives. Like you'll do set playlist and play music, and then you'll talk to people. And I think that that's really great because you've created this welcoming community, but not in a like, I'm going to push my beliefs on you guys. Like, hey, you want to come and hang out? You want to talk? You want to listen to music? And I think that that's a great way to do that.
yeah. To be honest, I don't know, and it's interesting that you brought that up because it's actually the guy that made me that shirt who actually talked me into going on Instagram because I didn't want to. I was like, I left all social media early 2019. And I'm so glad I did, let me tell you. Because it was just like, I didn't like who I was becoming. I was
Mhm.
becoming jealous and I was becoming proud. And like, even in my humbler posts, I was like, but I'm doing that in a proud. I'm like, this is gross. Like, I don't want to do that. And then even I didn't want to come back to it because I was like, I don't want to car salesman my music. Like, I want to make it available and let people know about it, but only if it blesses their life. If they don't like it, that's fine. Like, but yeah, he's like, no, you got it. He actually walked me through. He's like, you can just be a normal person on there. I'm like, I just don't know that I can, because it's like you purposefully on there to envy other people or boast about you're being better than other people. And he's like, no, just talk to them like you talk to me right now. I'm like, how do you do that? And then we
It's
started talking through it, and I was like, I like that. That I like just be a dude on the thing. And I'm like, I'll tell you, whenever I'm not every time, but most of the time when I'm talking about my music, I'm like, I'm hesitating. I'm like, do I post this? Like, I don't know. This feels weird.
it's
Just
really good though because you're very authentic, and I feel that way about social media too. Like I used to be like, oh, I want to be on it, and I want everyone to like me, and I want seeking that validation from other people.
yeah.
And because if I didn't get it, then I was like, oh well, I'm not good enough, or oh, what am I doing wrong, or why isn't my life like this? And there was a lot of comparison. And I'm very careful with how I use social media now and how much I consume. But I'll have the alerts for you. So when I see you going, I'm like, he's really authentic. And I really like that he is, you know, going and doing it that way. So I love that you've done that. And I love that you use your social media in that way.
Yeah, no, I thank you for that, but I can't take any credit for that. That goes straight to my buddy Dave in Germany, and then also, of course, to the Lord, because I had to pray about that for weeks. I was like, I don't want to do this, and it's just been funny. Like Glorious Victorious, another song would never have come to the light if a few people hadn't asked me if I had any more songs about Jesus, and I was like, I mean, I think I do, but I don't think I've got anything recorded. And so I looked through my files. I'm like, oh yeah, I have that one. I forgot about that one. So I'm like, okay. And I'm like, Lord, are you telling me to release this one? And I just felt like this, yes. So I'm like, okay, let's release that one. That sounds fun. It's not wasn't in my schedule, wasn't part of the album. I'm like, okay, whatever. Let's just have fun.
Yeah, and it's awesome. Like I love that you do all those. I love that you do the sets and things. So do you still actively um like write music all the time and be like, okay, I'm just gonna kind of play around with this and do this? Like I know you talked about creating your album and how home, which is an incredible song, how that came to be and you didn't think it was going to come to be. So are you still writing lots of music for just all kinds of random occasions, or?
Well, that's a good question. So I'll backpedal a little bit. Back in the day, I I was Wow, that's a big question. It's not a big question. It's a simple question, but I'm making it more difficult as I always do. So I'm going to backpedal to when I first started really taking writing seriously. And that was around the time when I think it was Friends, the TV show Friends came out. And I remember sitting down with my girlfriend at the time, and she turns on the TV and there's Friends, and I was watching it. And for some reason it clicked. I'm like, these people are getting paid how much money to sit around and have fun? Wait a minute. This show took whatever it was, half hour, 45 minutes with commercials back in the day when they were still commercials. And I was like, I could write a song in that time. So I just instantly, I turned off, I shut down cable. I haven't watched TV like the traditional sense since, and I just started writing songs. I got so deep into it. I think the most for the real crazy time was I was teaching songwriting, and a friend of mine, Jim Valance, who's an amazing songwriter. He wrote Summer '69 and Cuts Like a Knife and a bunch of songs for Bryan Adams. And we were teaching together one day, and one kid came up, and I couldn't believe it. we taught songwriting to these kids, and this kid comes up to me and goes, "Don, how do I get a career like yours?" And I'm like, he sold over 100 million records. What are you asking me for my career for? That's ridiculous. So me and Jim went for lunch after that, and I was like, hey, how do I get a career like yours? He's like, write a song every day for 20 years and come ask me again. And I was like, oh, 20 years. I don't have 20 years. So I started writing and writing and writing. I was writing 12 songs a day. Wow. Just to catch up. but since coming to Christ in 2011, I kind of just went, I'm done. And that's when Jim, of course, and I reconnected when I was trying to help somebody else. And he's like, what have you written? I'm like, nothing. He's like, I don't believe you. Send me what you have. And I was like, oh, I have like 60, 70 songs I've written. I didn't even realize. But so nowadays, to answer your question, I want to say I don't write on purpose. It just kind of like the last song I wrote, I was talking to a friend of mine, and she's like, you know, we were talking about my dad for some reason, who passed in 2012. And she's like, I feel a song about your dad coming on. And I was like, no, I don't need that. And then the next morning I woke up, I'm like, I don't think I've ever written a song for my dad. And I was like, no, kept trying to ignore it. And then just ended up writing a song about for my dad, called it Hey Dad. Just what would I say to him right now if he was here? That's just kind of an interesting song, but they just come. I don't know.
And do you ever write songs that you're like, okay, I'm never going to share this with anybody. This is just for me.
Well, yeah, that's what Glorious Victorious was. That's what Teach Me to Love was. Teach Me to Love was, I was praying, and I just felt an impression on my heart. Like God said, pick up your guitar. And I was like, no, I'm talking to you right now. And he's like, pick up your guitar. And that's literally just what I said. It took as long as it takes to read the song is how long it took to write the song. It just came out. Yeah, and I've written, it's got to be over 1,000 songs, like easily. So there's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of songs that no one will ever hear. And that's probably a good thing, because they're not.
And you said that in the beginning of the interview that you just picked up the guitar and taught yourself how to play, right?
Yeah.
And so have you ever like reverted back to like looking at like music, or do you just go with what feels good when you're writing and what sounds good with when you're singing?
Oh, that's funny. For me, I've kept every book I've ever written songs in. I have a whole box of napkins, scrap paper, just things I've written on. And I was telling this to a friend of mine the other day, or was it another interview? I can't remember. Anyway, because I didn't know what chords I was playing, I would just put N. So it was like N. And then when I had another chord, it'd be N2, N3. And then it stood for new chord 1, new chord 2, new chord 3. But around 5, I was like, wait, what was 3 again? Oh no, I can't remember. And then I think I was recording in the studio, and I got called the only musicians I knew. And we were in the studio, and they're like, well, what are you playing here? What key are you in? I'm like, key? What do you mean key? I don't even know what you're talking about. So I eventually learned the names of the chords. So new chord, the original first chord I ever learned was D.
That's awesome.
It makes me laugh. So if you, I should have prepared, but if you open my first books, it literally has lyrics, and above where the chord changes, it says N2, N2. It's hilarious. I'm like, I don't remember what N2 was, but I know what N was. N was D for sure. But anyway.
And you added on your profile, you actually have, where you're just talking about your books, you do have a spot that you have your handwritten lyrics that people can get.
Yeah, that's just for this album. Those aren't the lyrics. That is called the Nashville number system chord chart that Jim Riley wrote up for the players on the album. And this is another funny story. Because I was like, I know that I think it was Say Goodbye, he changed the key on. There was a couple little tweaks he did, and I was like, okay, wait, what chords am I playing? He's like, it's your song. Like, you don't remember? I'm like, but didn't we tweak this one? It sounds different when I play it. He's like, well, what key are you in? I'm like, I don't know what a key is. Come on, man. Like, you can tell me what key it is. I still won't know what chords are there. And so he's like, here, I'll send you the charts. I'm like, oh, amazing. So he sends me those. And I'm like, it took me a week to figure out what my songs were. So embarrassing. But I'm like, Jim, help me here. Like, he's like, what do you mean help you? It's written right on a piece of paper. I'm like, oh man, this is gonna take forever. But I was like, no, I'm determined. I'm gonna learn my songs again. Oh, it was so embarrassing, but it was fun.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I don't read music. That's the long and short of it. I have no idea.
My grandfather used to play piano, and I was like, I always wanted to learn it, and I never ended up doing it. And I remember he had said one of his greatest accomplishments was when he got to go play piano for the Pope in Rome, and he was like, it was such a great experience. So I was always like fascinated by music, and I'm fascinated by what drives people to want to become musicians or those things. So I'm so happy that you came on today. Thank you for this.
Oh, my pleasure. I can tell you, I didn't want to be a musician. It just happened. It's God.
No,
I always look at it as God's giggling. He's like, oh, you want to do that? Watch this.
now, is this what you want to for the foreseeable future? Is this what you want to do now, though?
Oh yeah, like the way I'm doing it this time, with like moving forward prayerfully, and like it's going to sound silly, but I just don't care about the money. I need to make money, but I'm not doing it with the marketing and the planning and all that stuff that I've done for decades. Like, it's just do it, have fun, put it out, be about the people. That's what's important to me, the people. And if the songs bless people, fantastic.
Well, they definitely are.
Yeah, that. And then me and Jesse Hutch, we have a film production company that we're trying to get off the ground. We've written a bunch of scripts, and I actually just sent them 6 of them today to get some stuff off the ground. But
That's amazing. Now, included in that, you had talked about, I think it was a play. Is that included in there?
oh, the musical.
Yes.
Yeah, that's in there. Yeah, Faith, Hope, and Love. Probably wasn't supposed to say that now that I think about it, but that's okay. I was like, oh no, I said it out loud. Don't. I'm the worst at these things. Yeah, I wrote a musical loosely based on my life. It's kind of an interesting story, but we shall see. We shall see. It's a full musical. The script's written. All the songs are written. All the songs are demoed. I'm in the process of, I've sung all the demos, but now it's like when a girl's supposed to sing it and it's my voice, it sounds really weird. So I've got some friends of mine that are phenomenal singers that have agreed to come on and sing the demos when we pitch it to networks.
That's incredible. That's awesome. I'm super excited for you.
Yeah, thanks. We'll see where it goes. Me and Jesse have been working on stuff since 2015, I want to say. Yeah, it's been a long time.
Now, if people want to find more of your stuff, where can they find you and your music?
My music, DonnyMac.com is probably the best place. This is a plug for Morgan Guitars. Oops, I screwed that up. Hit that by accident. So while we're saying that, Morgan guitars. I want to tell people about Morgan guitars. If you like guitars, it's probably blocking the thing. This is the company. It's Morgan Guitars. I've got two of them. They're my favorite guitar. They're handmade by a guy named David Iannone in North Vancouver. They're amazing guitars. I love these guys. So I've got a nice deal with him. All right. Wait, what am I playing? Teach Me to Love?
Teach Me to Love.
Oh, wow. Let's get down and dirty here. I'm afraid to be hurt. I'm afraid to be let down. I'm afraid not to be on your throne somehow. So tear me away from the pride that betrays. Teach me to give you my all. I'm afraid to fall. Teach me to live. Show me your truth. Teach me to love like Lord Jesus and you. I'm afraid to be lost. I'm afraid to wash out. I'm afraid you don't hear me when I cry loud. So remind me to pray when I get in the way. I'm like a fool in the wilderness who sees no escape. Why am I all about me when it's all about you? Teach me to love like Lord Jesus and you. I don't want a heart of stone. Don't want to fear the unknown. Why do I do things I don't want to do? I'm afraid to forgive. I'm afraid to let go. I'm afraid to keep learning things I should know. I don't want a deep heart. I'm so afraid to restart. I'm afraid to love those breaking my heart. So teach me to live. Show me your truth. Teach me to love like Lord Jesus and you. Teach me to love like Lord Jesus and you. Teach me to love like Jesus and you.
Man, that's so beautiful.
Oh, got a little emotional on that one.
That song is really beautiful.
No, thank you.
Well,
Oh,
thank you so much for being here, Donny. I'm so
you're so
honored to have
welcome.
you
Thank
on.
you for having me. I appreciate you.
Thank you so much for listening to another episode. I hope you guys love that. I really enjoyed it. He is a lot of fun. I found myself laughing a lot during the interview. He's just a very open book who's just a very genuine person, and he loves to talk and I love to talk. So I was very, very excited to be able to have him on the show. I'm so thankful to everyone who continues to tune in and to listen and provide feedback, or just listen if that's all you're doing. I just want to say thank you and let you all know that I do appreciate that so much. I've added Donny's favorite songs to the podcast playlist that I do every time I have a guest on. I'm really excited about some more guests I have coming up. This is such a fun thing to do, and I'm so happy that so many people are enjoying this and reaching out to me and continuing to listen. It's a it's a fun thing to be able to do for me, and it's a great creative outlet that I find a lot of joy in and a lot of happiness in. And it's so fun to get to interact with so many different people who reach out to me and say, "Hey, I love this and I love that." And so I do want to say thank you guys for that. And I really hope that you guys do like the guests. I'm trying to bring in different people with different perspectives and backgrounds for all of you guys to enjoy and love and learn from, because everyone that I bring on, I've learned something new about myself from, or I've learned something new about the world, and it's a great thing. So I do want to say thank you guys for that. And I do hope that you guys continue to tune in and listen and love it and leave me reviews or reach out and let me know what you're enjoying about the show. And I do hope that you continue to enjoy the guests and the episodes. And I'm excited about what's to come with this. All right. Thank you so much. I hope you guys have an amazing week ahead. I hope May is treating you all well and you guys are all doing wonderful and are happy and healthy and living life to the fullest and have such a beautiful feeling in your hearts. Thank you so much.